What set of values and traditions do you want to pass down to your kids? Think about a person sitting there to think about that and say, hey, babe, this is what I want to pass down to my kids. Here's what I want them to be doing. Our job is to learn from what people did right and learn from what they did wrong and do what they did right and don't do what they did wrong. So what did they have in common? A few different things. Number one, they all chose a growing industry and were early adopters. Number two, they found a problem and created a solution. Three, they had equity in businesses that grew. And last but not least, this is a tough one for many people. It took them 20 to 40 years to amass their wealth. Do you have that kind of patience? 20 to 40 years to amass that kind of wealth. A lot of time people talk about, well, Elon Musk is worth a few $100 billion in today's money, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I mean, Elon Musk has been doing this for a long time, nearly 30 years. He's been doing what he's doing with business. When they sold PayPal for $1.5 billion, his share was $180 million. You know what he did with his $180 million? He put $100 million into SpaceX. He put 70 in Tesla. And I think he put 10 million in the solar company. And that $180 million turned into $250 billion today, give or take, depending on how the economy is, because he's a long-term thinker. Warren Buffett today is worth $109 billion. You know how long he's been at it? A long time. He's also a long-term thinker. This is very common when you look at people who create a ton of wealth. So getting rich is different from staying rich, okay? Slow money, long money. The longer it eventually takes to accumulate, the longer you hold on to it. They all spend 20 to 30 years building their wealth. Fast money, quick money. Therefore, 70% of lottery winners end up broke within a few years. Think about this. This is a study that MIT did. Didn't somebody just win $2 billion right now with the lottery? What do you think is going to happen with this regular person that gets $2 billion? You think they know how to manage $2 billion? If the person's never had $1 million, their identity, if their job is $52,000 a year, they get $2 billion. What do you think they're going to be doing with that money? How quickly do you think that goes away? Even though you may say, come on, Pat, you think a person can run through $1.9 billion in no time? Yes, absolutely. Because if you don't know how to manage it, and if your identity doesn't believe you're worth $1.9 billion and you think you're only worth $22,000 of savings in the bank, somehow, some way, either someone's going to rob you of that money, someone's going to take that money from you, you're going to break the law, you're going to pick up bad habits like drugs, alcohol, and then boom, the money disappears. Most of the time, according to MIT. The people who get rich quick lack something crucial to generational wealth. Generational wealth habits. This is exactly what we're talking about. So number one, they invest in sure bets. This is something that these guys did. Number two, investing in appreciating assets. Three, structuring it generational. They think about, how am I going to get this money to go to the kids and to grandkids? It is something they think about. Practicing apprenticeship. What can I do to develop these leaders? What can I do to teach my habits to them? They come to work. They see how mommy's working. They see how daddy's working. They see how you're growing your business. Whenever I'm doing a conference call, I like my kids to listen to many of these conference calls so they see how I'm negotiating. They see how I'm talking. And then afterwards, they'll ask me questions. That is a form of apprenticeship, being pioneers and trendsetters. So some of you guys may say, well, Pat, what do you want me to do with oil? That's already done. Railroad, who the hell is going on? I've never been on a train before. I'm not going to get on a train. Planes, what can I do that's going to be revolutionary? Either be revolutionary or join a revolutionary. Either be a pioneer or jump on a pioneer's ship, plane, and say, I'm going with you. Wherever you're going, I'm going on this rocket. We're going places. I'm going to bring my value to you. But either way, either be a pioneer and trendsetter or join a pioneer and trendsetter. Changing the business with the changing times. They knew how to pivot and adjust. Recognizing and capitalizing opportunities. That's something you got to be thinking about and you got to be looking at. Teaching the family early, not waiting till later on to teach them the right habits. Staying away from the spotlight. Very interesting to say stay away from the spotlight. This is interesting where this was a big part of philosophy where they want to be a little low key. Even if you think about the Koch brothers or Rothschild, you don't hear a lot from them. You may even not be able to say that you hear a lot from many of these people who made their wealth then. It's very different today. It's hard for Bezos or Musk or a lot of these guys to stay away from the spotlight today because we have something called social media. And whether you like it or not, the media is going to somehow pull you in. But do your best to stay away from the spotlight. This is what some of these guys did. Leadership and family is based on merit. Next, maintaining strong family connections. Keeping people together. reunions, traveling together. I remember I was dealing with this one insurance guy, very, very successful guy, and who had a massive exit, and he had started a annuity company out of Kansas City. And one day I'm sitting down with him, talking to him. I said, so tell me some of your family traditions. The guy was in his 70s, so I like to learn a lot from people that are super successful. He says, every year I take 89 of my family members on a vacation and I pay for the whole thing. I said, what? Really? He said, absolutely. 2 weeks I take them. I said, are you joking? He says, no. He says, let me show you some pictures. He shows me. This is a cruise. This is 89 of us. And he starts telling me I started doing this 20 years ago. First one we did was only 11 of us. Then it went to 15. Then it went to 20. Imagine the pictures he's shown every year. He says, now it's 89. All these grandkids, all these boyfriends and girlfriends. He says, 89, we go together. I said, why do you do this? He says, believe it or not, it keeps the family united. Next, build strong business networks. Connections is a very big thing. Today, I just get a call out of nowhere. And this guy says, hey, Pat, one of our guys here that we work with, he says, hey, there's this guy I just talked to, and he just came up to me, and he's been following Valuetainment for a while, and he wants to be our contact for Hollywood, for Grammys, for all this stuff. And there are people that want to be the agent because they want to, they're seeing what's going on here where we have a lot of exposure on social media and the internet, but we don't have it on mainstream media, and they want to talk to you. This is a connection of a connection of a connection. When you build strong relationships, I remember when first time I read a book about Bill Clinton running for office, when he was a governor in Arkansas and he became the president, beating George Bush Sr., he said he wrote 20,000 handwritten notes that he gathered on this Rolodex. Forget about all the bad things you may think about with Bill Clinton. The man was an incredible networker. He took his 20,000 contacts that he had gathered, Rolodex, wrote everybody a note. I am running for office. Here's the reason. I would love to get your support. And then boom, all these connections helped him eventually become a president. Being cautious of who you bring into the fold, very, very interesting. You talk about who dates you, who dates your kids, and saying and breaking it down to find out who the family of the kid that's dating you, kind of being a little bit more proactive. Hey, daddy, I love this guy. Great, let me meet his family. Hey, mom, I love this girl. Great, let's meet her family. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to keep them close to see who they're getting close to. Friends, hey, I hang out with this guy named Joey. Great, bring him over for a pool party. And then you look, oh, Joey was smoking weed over there at 13 years old. Yeah, we're going to have a problem here. We got to figure this thing out. Now I know I talked to the family. We're being proactive. You got to be proactive. You have to stay paranoid. Ray Dalio said something very interesting this last week. I watched a clip of his, and he said, if you worry, you won't have to worry. But if you don't worry, you will have to worry. Well, what does that mean? If you worry about the economy, you're probably not going to take a massive hit because you'll be overly prepared. He says, but if you don't worry about economy, your kids, how you raise them, finances, rates, politics, if you don't worry about it, guess what? You're going to have a lot to worry.